If I may see a show of hands, how many people have already read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Good, thank you. Who has not yet read the book? I'm glad to see that. There's a few more customers out there. Always happy to see that. Excuse for the mics, but for those that haven't read the book, I'll give you a quick background on the book and where I come from and all this. My name is Robert Kiyosaki. It sounds like Kawasaki. I wish it was Kawasaki. I'd be a worthless playboy in Tokyo. I'd be spending daddy's money and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm fourth generation Japanese American, which means I do not speak Japanese. I barely speak English. And the reason I say that is, especially in the States, when I say I'm Japanese, there's always some student of Japanese language who wants to come up and practice on me. And they go, "Hi-ya, so I speak English. I don't have any idea what you're talking about, you know." So in many ways, what people call me is a banana. A banana is yellow on the outside, white on the inside, you know. So I have never really, I don't understand the Japanese people that much, although I am Japanese. The story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a true story about my two dads. My real dad, and it is an honor to be here for my real dad. My real dad was the head of education for the state of Hawaii. He was a great man, a great teacher, a great educator. He graduated from university in less than 2 years, straight A student, went on to Stanford, went to University of Chicago and Northwestern University. When I was in high school, my dad was the head of education for the state of Hawaii. Great man. But I call him my poor dad for the reason is he was poor. I mean, he made a lot of money. He was a high-paid government official. But as you know, the trouble with government officials, they know how to spend money, they don't know how to make money. And he just spent it. He had no idea what to do with this money. So anyway, that's why I call him my poor dad, and he died. When he died, he was flat broke. He had $4,000 in his savings account. That was it. My rich dad was my best friend's father, and he was a man who had no education. And although he had no education, he ultimately became one of the richest men in the state of Hawaii. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a classic story. Well, it's a true story about what two fathers tell their two sons, my best friend and I in this book, about the subject of money. And as you know, since we don't teach much about money at school, we learn it generally from our parents, our attitudes. In my poor dad's family, in the school teacher family, it was money was the root of all evil. That money didn't bring you happiness. That the rich exploited the poor, etc., etc., etc. And my rich dad's family was that we had too many people coming out of the school system with the entitlement mentality, that they were entitled to a high-paying job. They were entitled to a paycheck. They were entitled to the government taking care of them. So in many ways, the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a story between a capitalist and a socialist. And the definition of a socialist is really quite simple. A socialist is a person who is committed to being of equality. They want to make sure everybody is equal. And a capitalist is somebody who wants to be unequal. They want to be better. They want to make more money. So in reality, most of us are somewhere between the fundamentalist socialists and capitalists. Most of us have a heart, and we would like to see our fellow human beings taken care of. At the other side of it, we're capitalists saying we want a better life for ourselves and our families. So we're actually both socialists as well as capitalists. Or as Winston Churchill once said, if you're under 30 and you're not a socialist, it means you don't have a heart. And he says if you're over 30 and you're a socialist, it means you don't have a brain. So that's really quite the difference there. So in reality, as I stand up here tonight, and I'm honored to be here tonight as both my rich dad and my poor dad. I mean, I am honored to be in such a great institution of learning, especially since you don't take government support. You know, I think there's too many people who have expected the government to take care of them. And I'm not anti-government support. I'm anti-entitlement. The idea that the government should take care of you. It is up to us to take care of the government. And so that's why I'm really glad to be here at this institution of higher learning. I'm very honored to be here. So, a little bit of my background after that is that although my dad was the head of education for the state of Hawaii, I did not do well in school. As they often say, the cobbler's children have no shoes. Well, in my case, the superintendent of education's son had no brains. So I kept flunking out of school. I flunked out of school when I was at age 15, and I flunked out at 17. And the reason I flunked out was because I couldn't write. And the teachers kept saying, you can't punctuate, you can't spell, you're stupid, you're flunked. So today, after writing Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this book came out in 1997, 10 years ago. Today, it has been on the New York Times bestseller list for over 6 years. It is a #3 book, and longest selling book in history. It has sold over 26 million copies throughout the world. Thank you. Thank you. It has sold over 26 million copies worldwide, and it's published, I think, in 106 different languages, something like that, because I don't know, I don't count that well either. But so anyway, after it reached the New York Times bestseller list, I decided I would look up my 2 school teachers who flunked me. Hopefully they're still alive. And I was going to mail them a copy of my book, page by page, you know, saying, here you go, here. And I'm not blaming my teachers, it's just that I wasn't interested in what I was being taught. And so what I'll be talking to you tonight about is the importance of being interested in learning, because there is nothing more important than education. And a lot of people say I'm anti-education. That is not true. I'm anti-ignorance. And what I've always said to people is that rich or poor, smart or stupid, we all use money. And I've always wondered why our school systems don't implement a system or a study of money, because we'll all use it. And the thing I'm really excited about being here in Israel is that I'm not by any means a student of religion and all this, but what I do know about the Jewish religion is that there was a thing called a Talmudian scholar. And what it was to me, I don't know what you guys studied, but anyway, I do know there was a respect for learning, a respect for the commitment of elevating your mind to higher thought. And the thing I've always, being here, this is the biggest reception I've ever had at an institution of academic learning. Thank you. Generally, they throw me out. So it is a respect of the Jewish religion and the Jewish faith and the Jewish race of this respect for learning. It is the same in the Japanese race. Tremendous respect for learning. In the Asian tradition, the highest profession, the highest calling is a teacher. In America, it's the lowest calling. In Israel, at this moment, your teachers are on strike. That's a disgrace. When I found out how many shekels you guys make, I don't know how you can afford to put gas in your car. But what that shows is a complete disrespect for the most honorable profession of all, which is the honorable profession of teaching. Because when you think about it, both my rich dad and my poor dad were my teachers. And when you go to school, your teachers are your teachers. And when your country pays your teachers so little, that's what you think of your kids. That's a disgrace. And I really thank you.